Ron Gant joins us now. He's with the MLB Network, former great outfielder for several major league teams. His best years, of course, with the Atlanta Braves. Ron, good to have you on the show. How you doing?
It's my pleasure. I'm glad to join you.
You know, before we talk about the current state of affairs in the majors, and we're pretty excited here in Cleveland about our Young Indians ball club, but I got to tell you, to reminisce about your days with Atlanta in 91 and 92. You had a phenomenal year in 90, by the way. Ron hit 303 with 32 homers, 84 RBIs, 33 stolen bases, 34 doubles. But 91 and 92, the 91 World Series, and I just turned 62, Ron. I want you to know that.
I'm right behind you.
Ron, the 91 World Series, in my opinion, I'm hard-pressed to think of a more entertaining World Series than that one with you guys in Minnesota.
Yeah, there's been some really interesting and fun World Series to watch over the years. But I'm going to have to tell you, man, that 91 series was just phenomenal. I mean, the pitching matchups were unbelievable. Runs were very scarce. And anytime you have a game like that or a series like that, it seems like you're biting your nails every pitch and every play. I mean, in between innings, you couldn't breathe hardly. And, you know, it's fun, but I tell you one thing, man, it is nerve-wracking.
I thought last year's was close. Game 6. Game 7 was, I thought, anticlimactic, Ron.
Well, yeah. I mean, what the St. Louis Cardinals were able to do, in the month of August and September to come back and to grab that wild card. When a team has that kind of momentum going into the playoffs and on into the World Series, it seemed like it was almost destined for those guys. But it was a great World Series. But you almost had that feeling going into it the Cardinals were going to win.
Yeah. Let me go back to that Atlanta ball club you played with, because I've made reference to our viewers about this. Now, Deion Sanders went on to have a great NFL career, but my favorite sport is baseball, Ron, and
absolutely.
I contend, and it's certainly in the case of Jackson with Kansas City. He should have stayed in football for sure, or in baseball for sure. Got hurt with Oakland, but I think Deion Sanders too. Do you remember he had a higher batting average than Pat Borders in '92 in the World Series that year? He was hitting for a higher average. Borders won the MVP. Sanders, I thought, would have been a great major league player for many years to come.
Well, and it's one thing to be that talented. But what a lot of people don't realize with Deion was he was a great teammate, too. I mean, he always brought energy to the park. He always had a smile on his face. He laughed and joked, and he's a good guy. He's a better guy than what people kind of made him out to be. But on the field, man, he was so exciting. I mean, just being able to watch him, run down a line or go first to third or score from second on a base hit, it just made it fun to watch. So when you have guys like that, like a Bo Jackson or a Deion, man, it's fun to come to the ballpark.
Is it true that Smoltz and Avery and Glavine and Maddox were all almost scratch golfers and played on your road trips all the time?
Oh, man, it's funny that you brought that up because I talk about this all the time. When we used to go on road trips, the first bag off the plane, the first bags were golf clubs. No, not bats, not gloves, not uniforms, golf clubs. So that goes to show you how good those guys and how serious they took it. But they all are really good golfers. Smoltz actually right now is he's practicing and playing, and he's going to try to get on the Seniors Tour or the Champions Tour once he turns 50.
I did hear that. What a unique pitcher he is, for goodness sakes. I mean, we got a young kid in Masterson who's made the transition from bullpen to starter, and Derek Lowe's done it all, too. We got him now on our ball club. But how about Smoltz with what he accomplished as a starter? Then he goes to close, and he was the best of the major leagues. And then he goes back to starting, and he was great again until he got hurt.
Yeah, well, Smoltz just came out with a book, and he gives you a lot of insight on what his mindset was as a pitcher, and even early on, we all know that he was a heck of an athlete. And I mentioned that World Series in '91 when he matched up with Jack Morris. I mean, it was just pitch for pitch. one of the most competitive guys in all of Major League Baseball that I've ever played with was John Smoltz. And, I mean, he took everything seriously. He wanted to win at everything, and that's why he's so good at golf is because, I mean, he wants to do well at everything. So, for me, one of my best teammates all time.
You know, I contend the team you lost to the next year in '92, that Toronto outfit, if there is any such thing as an underrated World Series champion, they were it, because they took you had a great team. We found that out in '95. You had already left the Braves.
Right.
But they took you guys in 6, and then they took that Phillies team with Schilling and company in 6 the next year.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, that ball club, they had such a good mix of guys in that on the offense. Their starting rotation was solid. It wasn't the best rotation, but all those guys could give you innings. They could get you to that 6th and 7th inning, and that's exactly what they needed because they had a heck of a bullpen. And I think the bullpen, as well as some really clutch hits by some of the guys on the offensive side, I think their bullpen is what got them that World Series.
You know, we mentioned earlier about St. Louis last year. Isn't it amazing that they don't even seem to miss a beat without Pujols, and they haven't had and Ron, they haven't had Berkman for most of this season.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, it's almost like they're better now than they were last year, and it's amazing to me. And I know a lot of people don't talk about this, but you gotta take a look at the hitting instructor, Mark McGuire. You know, I had a chance to play with him, and he was probably one of the most disciplined hitters at the plate that I'd ever seen. I learned a lot from Mark. So what you're seeing now with the Cardinals is all these guys, Carlos Beltran and Holiday, they're getting to pick a guy that has been one of the best hitters in all time in Major League Baseball. They're getting to pick his brain, and they're learning a lot from him. And it's everyone up and down that lineup is contributing, and that's the reason why you're seeing this team do that well.
Can you believe Pujols just got his first a couple of days ago?
No, I mean, I thought maybe there would be an adjustment period, maybe learning the pitchers. It's the American League, changing leagues, the ballpark's different, everything's different. And I thought there would be a little bit of an adjustment period, but I didn't think it was going to be that long. So, it's one of those things, as he goes along, he's going to get better. We all know he's going to hit. So I'm not too much worried about him. But now he's going to have to pick it up a little bit to get the numbers that he normally puts up at the end of the year, but I think he will be close.
Have you seen much of our young ball club?
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't.
Have you seen much of our young Indians team?
No, for some reason the phone is kind of sketchy, so I'm not understanding that question.
Have you seen our Cleveland team much?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay, Cleveland's in first place right now. You mentioned Derek Lowe before I came on with you, and he was with Atlanta last year and didn't have that great of a season. But what he's doing to that rotation in Cleveland is phenomenal, because some of the guys like Jimenez is learning that you can't just throw a straight fastball. Derek Lowe will teach them how to work that really good two-seamer down in the zone, and that's the reason why some of these pitchers in the starting rotation for the Indians are doing much better this season. I mean, it's a complete ball club. It's not just the pitching. They have a good bullpen, and I think the key is going to be the guys on offense. If they're healthy, if you can get Grady Sizemore back healthy, and keep Travis Hafner healthy, I think they're going to be right there at the end of the year to contend at that AL Central. You know,
we're not getting the offense yet out of Kochman. I hope he can get that average up here. We don't need him for home runs, but how he solidifies the defense. And, Ron, as a former great major leaguer, that is so important. Pitchers, even the great guys that you played behind, they don't strike out everybody. They depend on you guys with the gloves. And we got a darn good defensive team here.
Well, that's what happens when you have a ball club or starting rotation that's going to throw a lot of ground balls. Is that and the other key is throwing strikes. You keep your defense on your toes, and those guys behind you are going to make those plays. Casey Kochman is one of the best glovemen in baseball, and he's going to hit. I mean, he's not going to hit for a ton of power, but he's going to get that average up. But I think that the Indians are a well-rounded ball club. I think they can do everything well.
After the Tigers made the deal to get Fielder, everybody, and I predicted they would win the division too, Ron. But there's a reason why you play the 162 games. They just got Fister back, and he's looking good. But Verlander can't do it alone.
Yeah, well, I think everyone expects for the Tigers to be the team to beat in the AL Central. But, the White Sox have something to say about that. And, of course, right now the Indians are making a statement. And it's going to be tough for the Tigers to do that because no one in that division is just going to lay down for them. It's a competitive division with those three teams especially. And like I said, you get Prince Fielder, you think your chances go up to win that division. But the game isn't played on paper. You got to go out there and prove as a team that you can go out and beat other ball clubs. And right now, Cleveland in that division is a team that's proving that.
You can catch Ron Gant on MLB Network tonight at 6 o'clock, leading into the telecast of the Yankees-Rays game at 7, followed by the Giants and Dodgers at 10. MLB Tonight airs live 7 days a week, featuring highlights and analysis. Ron, really a delight to talk to you. Thanks so much. Let's do it again, pal.
Hey, anytime. You just let me know.
Ron Gant, former great outfielder.